What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to JJD TV. I'm your host, Josh, and for today's episode, we were supposed to come back at you with a bang. We have producer T back. We got quality back. We're gonna have some beautiful little edits all around. The video is gonna look wonderful. But unfortunately, we didn't get a result today to match that. So I'm trying very hard to keep a smile on and be excited for you guys. But in reality, we had an awful game today. Like this, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It was just a poor effort all around. I was sad. I cried. T cried a little bit too. He's emotionally invested now. And we're here to discuss it. We're here to break it down and talk to you guys about it. And in my opinion, I thought this was a perfect game to reach out to you guys on Twitter. For those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, definitely check it out. I love communicating with you guys and getting your opinions about it. But I wanted to see what you guys had to address and some of the things. And it was honestly pretty funny. So I put the tweet out and said that this wasn't a great result and wanted to get your guys' 5 takeaways. So these 5 takeaways are coming right from you guys, the viewers. The first 8 comments were all the same. So we're going to save that one to the last and we're just going to get started. So obviously the most important one we're going to, like I said, keep to the last. So I'm going to probably roll over some of the other ones and lead into that final one, which is going to be a very key talking point and a lot of hate right now. But unfortunately, we're going to have to take a very beloved player for us for our first takeaway. And all of these takeaways, unfortunately, are going to be negative. There's nothing I can do about that. There's nothing to show me in this game that there was much of a positive light. We've had a lot of positive episodes on the channel. This one is going to be a pure negative. And I want your guys' feedback. I want you to let me know if I misspoke on anything, if you think there should have been something positive to mention. But anyways, we're going to roll in with our first takeaway, and that is young Jude Bellingham. And unfortunately for him, this wasn't a game for a young 17-year-old to start. I was honestly shocked that he started him. I know he's been playing fantastic for us, and he's doing such amazing things for a kid of his age. But for your first Champions League's taste, the kid had to have been nervous. It's like, these are one of the games you want to introduce him late in the game, give him a chance to come back into a competition he's never played in, a competition that every kid in the world dreams to play in. But we started him off the start. His nerves got to him, and he just had, unfortunately for him, a very poor game. And I mean, I don't fully blame Jude. It was just one of those games. He's had some great performances. This, unfortunately, was not one of them. And it was just a complete miscue to start him for this game. That leads into our second takeaway. And our second takeaway is Julian Brandt. The reason he's our second takeaway is because this was the type of game where a player like Julian Brandt needs to start. Like I said, there's a lot of times for players in our teams who are getting their first shot at the Champions League. You need a lot of the veterans, the experienced players, people who've been there, done that, and also just a little bit of creativity. I think Julian Brandt needed to start this game. When he plays in our system, which is the 3-4-3 or 3-4-2-1 or 1-2, however it wants to be, if he plays in that top 3, he usually plays as a center forward. That's not his position. In the system we run, because I think his best position is the 10, he plays his best as the 8 beside Witsel. And I think in a game like this, getting a little bit more creativity, getting a little more experience was exactly what you needed to start off the campaign for the Champions League. That didn't happen. We put, unfortunately, a 17-year-old who wasn't quite ready for the game and up to the task, and it was just an awful result for them, unfortunately, all around. Leading into our third takeaway, we're going all the way back to the transfer market. And I almost thought this point was going to shut me up the past few games, because I think Hummels, Chan, Akanji when he was in, and then even Delaney stepped up the last game, they're finding some real chemistry. I was like, I wasn't sure if Chan was going to cut it in the back, but this is a COVID-stricken season. That means that there's going to be a lot of games, a lot of turnover. A lot of players are going to have to get a lot of minutes if you don't have the replacements to be able to fill in those positions. And we have a depleted back line. Doesn't help with what's happening to Akanji and the suspensions and whatnot. Those things are going to happen. We didn't sign someone to replace them, and a game like today was a perfect example when we have Delaney, who's got to come back, who just doesn't play center back. He's never really played center back. I think he played well at the end of that Hoffenheim game. Well, the entire Hoffenheim game. He came on the 21st minute. But unfortunately, I wasn't that worried about this game. I thought, maybe just the way that they were playing, they would strive. The back line would be fine. But without Chan, who I thought we desperately missed because of the chemistry he's gaining with Hummels, they just weren't up to the task, and they picked apart our back line. And unfortunately for Mats, when some of that chemistry gets tampered with, that last goal from Immobile scored was a perfect one. It was a simple ball. Players weren't in position. Hummel's got just destroyed by pace, nice ball into the box, and is in the back of our net. And we need to make a decision for a center back in the January window. For sure we do. We need to bring another body in, and I don't think there's anyone out there who can debate that. Heck, we might even go out there and try to pick up a free agent right now, but we need to do something because we have just too much of a depleted back line, and in the big games like this, it can come back and bite us in the butt, and it did exactly that. And with that, we go on to our fourth takeaway. And our fourth takeaway is one that I was trying to debate with. There's a lot of you guys out on Twitter that were throwing a lot of different points at me. And I didn't know if I wanted to quite do this one, but I decided to. And that is the mentality. And it's not like I'm saying that the Dortmund mentality isn't there. That's not exactly what I meant at all. But it's a different kind of mentality. And honestly, I've experienced this kind of mentality when I played sports. And this can be, honestly, for any person playing any sport. And that is just going into a game or going into a tournament that you think that you're heavy favorites for. And I'm not saying this is the case. This is my personal opinion off of what you guys were saying for me from the tweets. But I remember going into games against teams that we've destroyed in the season. And you walk in there and you're like, all right, like we're the favorites. Like we don't got to do the little things. We're just the better team. We're going to walk away with it. And at the start of the game, these slow starts are getting to us because it's almost like we're going into the game thinking that we are the better team. And they ran us over, that we made poor mistakes. We just weren't emotionally invested into the game, and it bites in the ass. And for me personally, the games that bugged me the most losing when I grew up was going into a game that we were expected to win. Teams we destroyed or just know that we're better than, and that they come and beat us just because we simply don't think we got to do it. I'm not saying that's the point. Definitely let me know if you guys agree with that, but to me, just looked like we weren't up to the task, and we were obviously the heavy favorites of this group. Lazio was honestly our probably biggest competition in this group, but we just went in thinking that this was our game. This was our group to top, and now we're in a bit of a hole. So that's tough, but we lead into our fifth takeaway, our final takeaway, and from a couple of your comments, this takeaway should be all 5 takeaways, and that is Thomas Meunier. I'm assuming you guys are probably sick of me talking about him now, and I'm honestly starting to feel bad, but something's got to be done because he just doesn't fit the system. I mean, he plays as a right wing back for Belgium. He plays it poorly for us. He's not going to be playing in a right center back position. Maybe down the line, if we're stuck, that's maybe where the only spot he can fit. But for me, he's got to be taken out of the squad. I've talked a lot about time saying that he gets himself in some decent positions, but his final ball is just dreadful. He didn't do anything on the attack today. He made a mistake at the back. And it's just like, what is he bringing to the table? And I don't want to come at him and be negative, and maybe he just needs to get pulled out of the squad, hopefully just get his head back in the game and break his way back in the team. But you cannot keep starting him because he's producing nothing going forward and nothing coming back. When you got players on the bench like Paslak, who in my opinion has always brought on energy this season, he wants to play, he wants to start, and I think for this next game against Schalke, especially because it's a derby, he needs to be on a right wing back spot, no questions asked, and Meunier needs to just sit back on the bench, think about his game, and try to come up with something better because it just can't be repeated this. Our system relies on these wing backs, and we know how much Hakimi was going to hurt, but I didn't realize he was going to hurt this much, and I totally underestimated, and that makes me miss Hakimi even more, and it's breaking my heart even talking about it. But he needs to be changed, and there's a lot of hatred on Twitter about Fabra, which I'm not even going to touch on. Fabra is going to be with us all season long, and hopefully he can just get them to rally for the derby. But it is Meunier, and he's got to come out of the squad right now and hopefully get replaced by either Paslak or Marai. My heart's going with Paslak right now just because of the few performances that he did do. So with that is my 5 takeaways from the 3-1 defeat to Lazio. It was a hard game to watch, and we're going to need a big bounce back game for the Schalke game. This is a game that's going to mean a lot to us, so it's going to be the perfect way to try to come back from this, and hopefully we can figure out our systems here. But if you guys are new around here, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.